Hello everybody, welcome to another video in the Student Exemplar series. This one comes from Roman in Milton Keynes. If you want your work featured in a video, send it to me, info@mrbruff.com. You can remain anonymous, but Roman from Milton Keynes is happy for a shout out, so well done Roman for this piece of work. Comparing the ideas about power in Extract from the Prelude and one other poem, and Roman chose to compare Extract from the Prelude with Storm on the Island. So let's have a look. The power of nature and of humans is represented complexly and provocatively in Wordsworth's work and similarly in Heaney's Storm on the Island. Between the two, they both emphasize nature as the unparalleled power. However, Wordsworth's poem is a philosophical revelation characterized by abrupt fear, whereas Heaney's poem is an illustration of uniform identity in the adversity of fear. Now this to me is a really nice introduction because it really presents a line of argument. I talk a lot about having a two-sided line of argument, and the line of argument here is very clear. The line of argument is both of them present nature as powerful, okay, so there'll be some exploration of that, but one presents the philosophical revelation and the other presents the illustration of uniform identity in the adversity of fear. So there's going to be sort of two sides to the answer, and that'll give it a structure, a line of argument that's so important for the highest marks. Wordsworth's Stealing the Boat episode underlines his romantic revelation in his epic poem, The Prelude. Wordsworth is drawn in by a little boat. The boat is portrayed as innocent. He is led by her almost deceitfully, and nature is personified as a female entity, showing how Wordsworth is overpowered by nature. This could allow nature to be viewed as the heroic character in the epic, therefore showing Wordsworth's romantic belief in the power of nature, although alternately personification of the little boat could celestially bring the scene to life, showing that although nature is seemingly inanimate, it is in fact constantly moving and able to force people. So that's the first idea. Now, let's just refer back to the question. Ideas about power. So this opening of the answer up to here is saying that essentially nature is so powerful. That's why it's personified. That's why it is female. I think it would have benefited from an opening sentence in this paragraph which said nature is presented as powerful through the use of personification and gender or something like that, and then the rest of it, because what you've got else is, here's the romantic revelation, here's the deceit, and you're asking yourself, well, what's this got to do with power? And it's not until you get to the end of that sentence that you realize. So always try to link back to the question in the opening of each paragraph, make it clear how the point you're about to make answers the question. On the other hand, Heaney formulates a dramatic monologue, and this gives the effect of a one-sided conversation where Heaney's took on the persona of an islander in the midst of a destructive, bombarding, and explosive storm. Heaney's use of the oxymoron exploding comfortably enforces nature's indifference as the storm pummels the man's house malevolently, and Heaney's one-way conversation further implies nature's indifference. His voice is all he has to drown out the murderous sounds of the storm. This could illustrate Heaney's sense of identity, especially when considering the persistent use of the first-person plural we that gives such a strong sense of togetherness. This shows the power within conflict between Catholicism and Protestantism in Ireland, which Heaney perhaps feels powerless in relation to. So again, here's a very complex idea. So the use of the form, the use of the imagery, and then it's not until the end of this whole section that we learn how it links to power. And it would be so much better to say, on the other hand, Heaney's use of the dramatic monologue form presents the power of nature, even just that, and then explore the rest. Just make sure you link to the question, not right at the end, because you don't want to read through all this and then work out the point you're trying to make. The structure of paragraphs is so important. Power in Wordsworth extract is more so related to power concerning the individual, whereas Storm on the Island is very much about Ireland as a community and how they deal with power. So this is better. This is linking right to the question. The phrase "we just sit tight" once more uses the personal plural we, but also the intensifier just makes the situation seem desperate and perhaps rehearsed as if they know what's going to happen because it's happened so many times before. Furthermore, the adjective tight illustrates the collectiveness of the people as they compact together as a means of protection. They are not naive and they realise the sheer power of nature. On the contrary, Wordsworth is on his own at the hands of nature in his poem, and is much more naive, as shown by the proud mood. The communal sense in Storm on the Island is seen in the cyclical structure of the poem, with the preparation beginning the poem and the half-rhyme of squat and slate at the start, linking with the half-rhyme of air and fear at the end. The irony is that nature and the storm can't really be predicted. However, as shown by the community's preparation, the community have an advanced sense of nature's unpredictable power, and this can actually represent the power of the community still. Nature is more powerful in its effect on Wordsworth than on the community in Storm on the Island, and this reflects how people's experience can make us more powerful against nature, like how we can use laser beams to predict earthquakes today, but this wasn't the case 200 years ago. The beautiful celestial and magical imagery characterized by the simile like a swan is juxtaposed by the almost childlike repetition of huge, a huge peak, black and huge, and truly exemplifies Wordsworth's humbling experience prompted by the powerful stature of the mountain. He's brought back to a childlike state, and his imagination erupts as though he is in a terrifying dream with the personified movement of the mountain as it strode after him. And this leads the listener to question whether this event is even real, and Wordsworth's reflection by day and where a trouble to my dreams makes it seem as though nature has caused him to almost begin his life again as a child, dumbfounded by his revelation of nature and plagued even in his dreams. Or at least Wordsworth had been confined to bleak solitude, or so is led to call it, implying his sheer confusion at the revelation that he doesn't know what to call it, and thus conveying the perplexing effect nature has on the individual. I'm just going to pause there for a second because this is a sort of conclusion. So I'll just put that down here. This paragraph is a great example of what it seems to be somebody going through their anthology and writing up every annotation into sentences. And you can see from when I read it, there are some very good ideas in here. And there are some very good ideas about structure, about power. So the idea that nature has power, but man has begun to predict that and to control that through the cyclical structure, showing that they're prepared for it. And you know, there's some clever ideas, but there are just so many ideas thrown in here. And I personally like the idea of one idea per paragraph. Explore it, explain it in detail, then move on. The sort of answer that has really changed. There was much more clarity in the answer at the beginning, and then at the end, and it could be that the students sat there thinking, you know, half my exam time's gone, I just got to get all these ideas out. But I don't think that's ever the right way to think. I think the right way to think is, you know, right, what ideas do I have, and which are the best, and let me explore them fully, and, you know, do as many as I can before I run out of time. Because when you have probably 10 ideas here together, some linked clearly to power, but other times there's no mention of power. It just seems like the students just writing everything in their anthology. So it would be better to separate those ideas, make sure each one is linked clearly to the presentation of power, and to actually explore them in full detail. Overall, between the two poems, we can see that nature has an experience-defined effect on both the community in Storm on the Island and on Wordsworth in Extract from the Prelude, and reflects the dynamic shifting between the power of nature and man that is in nature's favour. So I think this answer has some strengths, but I think it was better to begin with, and I think it got a bit rushed at the end, which is an absolute challenge to everybody watching, because that is what an exam is. You've got to remember, an exam isn't testing your ability. It isn't testing your intelligence. It's testing what you can do under timed conditions, and that's a lot harder. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do subscribe to the channel.